All right, we have another exciting interview with Lisa Thornton. Lisa, how are ya?
Hi, I'm doing great. Amber?
Yes, Amber, you got it. Good job. Awesome. Well, Lisa, where are you from?
Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, Staten Island. I was born, and then New Jersey, and so that's a loaded question right there.
Yeah, I know you got a lot of places. Where do you live now, I guess?
There you go. Since 1989, Charlotte, North Carolina.
North Carolina.
It's
Okay.
home,
Very cool.
but I still get mad in New York, my kids say.
Ah, nice. So, what chapter are you a part of then?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Okay, great. Awesome. And how long have you been a part of You Women?
I know I've been to at least 4 or 5 of these,
Oh, five icons. Okay.
but actually, it was that very first one after I lost Charlie. I went to my first one,
Uh huh.
just a bundle of a mess. And Sandra gifted me the conference. She's
Oh,
like,
wow.
you have got to come. I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to get there. I wound up driving. My son dropped me off, and he went on to California to be with the love of his life. And he's still out in California.
Wow.
And I got a little puddle jumper back to Myrtle Beach for $100. I don't even remember where I slept. Somebody gave me, like, I don't know, their couch or something.
Yeah.
And then wound up, getting back by a friend that was driving from Myrtle back to Charlotte.
Wow.
So we drove,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to look back on it, right? To see
Right.
where you've come, right?
Right.
Yeah, very cool. So what do you do now?
Which day of the week?
Which day of the week?
I teach piano.
You teach piano. Okay.
That's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I perform with my husband, who was just my performing partner. We were a duet
Uh-huh.
in local bistros, wine bistros, and art galleries and things. And then last year, when I got here, we had our first kiss.
Yeah, I remember you told me.
Yeah. So then, 6 months later or so, we were married.
That's
It was a
awesome.
little bit more than that, but not much.
Well, you guys had already known each other for a while, so it wasn't like you just met, and started a relationship, but you knew each other.
Right.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Well, congrats on getting married.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
And then Teen Reach, I'm just deciding and trying to get clarity on if I'm going to relaunch it this fall. It'll be our 10th anniversary. We can do a reunion and invite all those kids that we gave scholarships to, seeing what they've done over the last 10 years. Sarah Mathers, she was Mathers on season 4 American Idol.
Oh, okay.
And she did like a Teens Got Talent reveal for one of our events that we did.
Uh-huh.
And back then, she did good on American Idol, but she wasn't a winner. She made it to the top 10. But now she's hitting like #1 charts.
Wow.
And I can still text her and like she remembers. I'm like, oh. But she had lost a band member to, I guess, drugs and I think an overdose. And
that's
so all the people that have come to Teen Reach can relate in some way to overcoming obstacles, or they've seen other people struggling to overcome obstacles.
Yeah.
And she talked to the kids about how to be on stage and not let all that outside influence get the better of you.
Right, right. And do you want to explain a little bit more what Teen Reach is and what the purpose was behind it?
Well, I started it in memory of my daughter with my late husband. Rana was a nationally ranked gymnast, part of Echo Club, Encountering Christ through helping others. And she went to visit her grandmother. My son was in AAU baseball. They had to go to the wide world of sports, but she stayed at grandma's. And an older cousin, Rana, had just turned 14, and these young men were 19 and 20. And they assaulted her. And she, after striving to be a perfect 10, couldn't reconcile. And being part of Echo Club, Encountering Christ through helping people, how they could do what they did. And I just watched this beautiful light like go out,
So sad.
literally and figuratively. And 10 days before their sentencing, 2 weeks before her 16th birthday, she chose not to be here anymore.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So her younger sister was only 12 at the time. Now Kristen's a mother of 4, and I just spent the weekend in Oak Island while they went on an anniversary weekend. but she never got to be Kristen's maid of honor, which I'm
Mm.
sure she would have been.
Yeah.
And so she didn't see a way through the obstacles. So Teen Reach gives kids a toolkit
Yeah.
for overcoming insurmountable circumstances,
Yeah.
whatever they might look like. And some people are like, well, is it just at-risk kids? And I'm like, I wouldn't have called my child an at-risk kid. All teens are at risk for doing something stupid in the moment,
Yeah.
something you can't take back.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's beautiful what you've done because of it, that you've taken it and have tried to reach other people and help other kids. And so I think that's awesome that you've done that.
Yes. So 10 years, we hope it's going to be a music festival
Mm.
because I've met another musician through some of the stuff that I do,
Yeah.
and he's a veteran. He was at a very low point at one time, and now, since he was in my living room doing a house concert, he's hitting the charts in the blues. So he's
Wow.
had a number one, like last month, one of his singles hit number one. Chris O'Leary band is touring all around, and so he had already said, I'm in. So most of the people I've gone to have just said, yep, just tell me when.
That's so cool.
So when you walk in alignment and they get the purpose, it works.
Mm-hmm.
But Sandra was just talking about being tired. And sometimes
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
And it's been a long journey to get to here and finding the balance and
Taking a breath.
when I need to. And things were quiet for a really long time. And I don't know whether that was me and my own trauma response or whether I was really just waiting to hear or needed the time to regroup. So, clarity. And that's really why I forced myself to be here. Because tonight we had Ellen DeGeneres tickets in Charlotte.
Oh, wow.
And one of my neighbor's daughters, Maeve, she's you know, she relates to Ellen. I don't know
Yeah.
what's the proper way to say things
Sure.
these
She
days.
sees her as like a role model. Yeah.
Right,
Uh-huh.
right. And I was able to gift them to her.
Oh, that was so sweet.
So, yeah. And I didn't know because we put them on our little neighborhood, page, our blocks page.
Uh-huh.
And her mom said right away, first person, I'll ask Maeve. And I'm like, perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So they went to good use. You didn't waste them.
exactly.
That's good.
It was a gift that needed to be given.
Right.
So
Right.
It was really good.
Well, I'm really glad you're here. And that's awesome.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, because I'm asking everybody, what is 3 pearls of wisdom that you would give to somebody that is just starting out? Maybe somebody that has a teenager that is maybe going through some of the things that your kids went through. What wisdom would you give to that person?
Authenticity.
Mm.
That would definitely be the first to come to mind. If we can't come to them with our brokenness, honestly, we weren't perfect.
Yeah.
We did some stupid stuff. We're not trying to tell them not to do what we did. We're just trying to say we're not perfect. Then they can come to us with their imperfections.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. Because I was assaulted in college,
Mm.
and that's how she was conceived. And I never wanted her to know that.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I shared that, then maybe she would have realized, I did find Charlie. He did adopt her.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it wasn't all picket fence, but it was certainly a wonderful life that we
Yeah.
had for the 30 years that Charlie and I were together and grew up together and had 2 other kids. By the time I was 25,
Yeah.
we really grew up with them and went to I was, soccer coach. He was basketball coach. She did gymnastics. So we just grew up with them and enjoyed our lives with them. So she could have maybe seen that.
Yeah. She was so young too. I mean,
Yeah,
14, right? You said?
right. She just, yeah.
So it's kind of hard to know, like when are those times where you do open up? I
Right.
think it depends on the kid, like how mature they are, when they're ready, when they're not. And sometimes circumstances happen when they're not ready. Things
Exactly.
happen. So I guess you have to really be mindful and aware with what you share and when you share it.
Right. And I was thinking I had time
Yeah.
because she was kind of protected. I mean, she was in the gym 5:30 to 9:30 Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 on Saturdays. So she went to some parties and things, and this was what she loved to do and chose to do. But I wouldn't say that she was, in the thick of
Sure.
things. She was kind of
She was
sheltered
sheltered. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, and
and
it's
trusting, very trusting.
yeah.
And another thing that I've come to realize when I'm like, I've got more than one customer, if you will. It's not really customer, but client, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like, you, as an organization, you've got to appeal to the kids. So these teenagers will go to their parents and say, "Hey, there's this thing," and the parents are automatically like, "Oh, what is this thing?" And then if the parent, I've spoken to them in groups or what have you, they go to the kid, "Hey, there's this great thing," and the kids are like, "Oh,
Right.
you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
So somehow bridging that gap and
Yeah.
still believing and trusting, even though things are tense during that time, finding again those conversations that and keeping the conversations going, which can be really hard when you're in your phone. I mean, even at 10 now, I see my grandson on those what that itch twitch something.
The Nintendo Switch.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
So it gets harder and harder to find those moments for conversation.
Sure.
But throw them in a car and take them for, I don't know, a new pair of shoes or something, and you turn off the radio and make it 5 minutes of connection, so you can keep some kind of connection going.
It has to be intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of what the third one would be. Hug them often, tell them you love them.
Yeah.
Even, and when they're most unlovable is when they need the most hugs.
Yeah.
They're going through something, even if they don't share it with you, and all you want to do is bop them upside the head or throw their book bag or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
It's like,
totally.
that's really when they're going through something. They're short tempered and they need the most love.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great advice. I think everybody needs to have that, like, just cognizant of, like, instead of reacting to whatever your kid is doing, like, think back, stop, and respond accordingly. Like, okay, they must be going through something. This isn't their normal nature. Maybe they're, in a season or whatever, your
And
kid.
I know. And as parents, we can get so wrapped up in we've got to do this, 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 and this. And a mental health day is perfectly okay. That test, you'll take it another time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or whatever it might be. Like sometimes we're so focused and driven on, you got it, you got it, you gotta.
Some things are more important, like your mental health and
Yes.
self-care and all that stuff. Like,
Yes.
very, very important.
Yes.
We can't forget about that. And I think as parents too, like, you have to role model that for your kids. They have to see you do it. And even if they don't do it initially, like, they'll fall back on that when they're older.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on here. If people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do so?
Text me 704-242-0867.
All right.
Honest to Pete. I mean, I can give you websites, but that's hard to get to. It's easier if you text and we put it right on a calendar right then and there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get buried in umpteen gazillion whatever else is.
It's true. Yeah. All right. Well, you heard it here. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on here, Lisa. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you wanted to mention?
I don't think so. Just thank you. Oh gosh, and Brianna. Hugs. I know where your mama was. I know where you are. It's just, I'm glad you're here with us still.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate it.